I'm here today with a popular cop of Indonesia. Our guest today is the one and only, the National Police Bureau Head of International Mission, Brigadier General Krishna Murti. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Sally. Is that,
yes,
is that right?
You're right.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. It's an honor to interview you amid your busy schedule. And thank you for joining me to discuss the role of the Indonesian National Police in enhancing peace and security globally. And I want to start off by asking a question on your journey as a senior member of the Indonesian National Police. And oh, by the way, 6 years ago, when you served as director of Jakarta Police General Crimes Division,
yes,
you attracted massive public attention following the terror attack on Jalan Tamrin in central Jakarta. So could you tell us about some of the highlights in your career, and including your overseas assignments, and maybe the story behind your aspiration when you were younger to become a police officer? Yeah.
So first of all, I would like to appreciate for the invitation coming to me. It is an honor for me to be interviewed by Kompas.com. Actually, this is first time for me sitting in front of the cameras, interviewed by the very popular anchor.
No, you're more popular.
Ice breaking.
Okay.
Talking about the journey of my career, I think as it is written on Wikipedia, I was very surprised that my background was
because you're
written
so famous.
I think some of us also in Wikipedia. I was graduated from Police Academy at 1991 at the same batch with the chief of INP. Now my position is as the head of International Mission Bureau under the Office of International Relations Divisions, right, where I mostly manage and look after the international cooperations all over the world, dealing with the capacity building as well as the international missions.
Right.
But at the other bureau, the International Relations Division also dealing with the international transnational crime,
right,
international crime as well as the transnational crime. And what bring me to be right now positions, I think, is a very long journey since the first time, I think, when I was a cadet, I spent, some of my leave, the cadet, they have kind of leave every six months.
Right.
Okay, I spent it at the Thailand, Bangkok, following where my father was posted at that time.
Okay.
And then
at the embassy.
At the embassy, okay. He was the military attaché Indonesian embassy at Bangkok. Mm-hmm. And after that, I was like, I was interested with the international issues. Then when I was the first lieutenant at that time, it was called first lieutenant. Mm-hmm. I was assigned as the peacekeeper. I was the youngest peacekeeper at that time, mm-hmm, deployed at the former Yugoslavia. It's where the country was broken into 6 new countries, right, from Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia. And since then, I realized that the international issues are is a part of the police issues that need to be considered by us, need to be taken into consideration, where from these issues, the international relationship, then we can enhance the capability of police, mm-hmm, to be more better police, knowing the universal policing, especially, right, how to manage the policing in domestic issues, but uphold the human right, for instance. Yeah. And I also learned at that time how we need to handle the resilience of the Indonesia, since we know that Indonesia consists of more than 300 ethnics.
Correct.
A lot of languages, and if we cannot, at that time I learned that if we cannot manage the resilience of Indonesia, Indonesia could one day be like what happened in Serbia, because the root problems of what the Serbians face with the Indonesian face is almost the same. But luckily we have like what you call through the diversity we still have one density of Indonesia, to be one Indonesia. We have Pancasila,
Right. The 5 principles.
first principle of the basic law of Indonesia. Then from that moment, I then spent most of my career, especially the education, at the overseas.
Right.
Yeah, luckily, every time the chance come, I passed the selections process. Of course, I passed the selections process.
What kind of test was it? Was it
Yes,
difficult?
like TOEFL tests, like academic tests and other tests. So I spent most of the education abroad, but this doesn't make me proud. But the most important thing from that education experiences, I bring it to Indonesia and transfer it, deliver it to the staff, to the trainee, to the courses that I follow. So I joined with many courses. I also evoke my career 6 years at the education institution, training some cadets, training the young generation of police, and also when I become appointed as the leader, and I enhance the capability of my institution to be much better and better in servicing to the public. This is the most important thing with what I get. That's a little bit story about my journey. But if you want to ask more, I think we can spend more than one day for informing that. So let's switch it into the other issues, I think.
Okay. So was it your aspiration since you were a kid, being a police?
Being a police was not my wish at that time. I was like trapped to be a police. Yeah, because at that time when we were under the military era, police was part of the military at that time.
Right.
When I applied at that time, actually I applied to be the cadet of the military academy.
Right.
I wanted to be a military. I wish I could
like
be
your father.
Like my father.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. But after that, I knew that due to the psychological tests and some other tests, the committee of the selection process decided that, according to them, I could be better to be a police rather than to be a military. So that's why I'm a police right now. But when I was the candidate of the cadet at that time, I was called. You are not going to be a military, but you are going to be the police. Do you accept with this decision? And my question was very, simple at that time. I was asking, if I were a police, would I be a cadet? Still a cadet?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, as long as I'm a cadet. At that time, I was only to be a cadet. And
your aim is you just want to be a cadet, that's
only
it.
a cadet, wearing a very good uniform,
Yes.
going back to my former high school and
you can
show up with my girlfriend at that time. That's what only my idea. But after jumping to become a police, I was thinking at that time, this will be my long journey until I'm retired one day. So I have to be sure with my career right now. So let's do my best to be a police.
Most importantly, do you enjoy it?
Yes,
you're happy.
I enjoy police Police is not an enjoyable job,
Wrong question. Okay, so sir, what is your proudest moment throughout your journey so far? Your proudest moment?
Talking about proudest moment, I'm not so proud with. I don't want to be a proud person, so I don't want to. When I work, I don't want to impress others. The proud moment is talking about the things that make me to learn something about that moment. So I learned a lot of things about the moment, the step of my careers, every step of my careers. So when I was first lieutenant at that time, I learned about how to uphold and maintain the unity of Indonesia. Police is one part of the pillars for making Indonesia better, to keep the unity of Indonesia. I learned a lot about that. So at that time, switching my mindset about being a police, not only talking about maintain the public order, not only talking about the enforce the law, not only talking about servicing people, but we have to keep how to make people in Indonesia, the Indonesian public, the Indonesian citizens to be proud with the Indonesia, because Indonesia is very, very big, good, and become something one day. I believe that's make me switching my mindset about being a police. Since then, I learned about to do everything in my life to keep Indonesia to be a good Indonesia.
Awesome. Sir, as a leader, what are the key takeaways from your experience in facing unfavorable circumstances or dangerous situations? Some tips maybe as a leader.
Being a police, every day we face unfavorable environment, unfavorable situation, dangerous situation. I give you an analogy, okay? See, when we enforce the law, for instance, there is those who become victims coming to the police.
Right.
Then, if we cannot handle this case properly, or we cannot satisfy the victims, then they can hit us, of course. You understand?
Right.
Okay. For another sample I can give you, on the road, for instance, there are some public who do not really aware about how to keep the safety of riding.
Yeah.
So that's why
defensive driving,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So why the laws is issued, regulation is issued, because we have to manage the traffic, we have to manage the road in order to uphold the health, the safety of the driving, of course. But when the police conducting the law enforcement in terms of the traffic regulation, and most people do not like it, that's again we are facing the not unfavorable conditions,
right,
in our atmosphere of work,
right,
and also most of the things that we are facing related with the danger situations, riots,
terror
attacks,
yeah,
crimes,
right,
and everything. So what, as the leader, what I can do is, regarding your question about the key words of the leadership, what I need to deliver to my staff, to myself especially, that we have to make decisions, we have to respond every situation in a proper, proper condition, proper way, in a proper way. But it's very difficult, you do something good in a bad situation.
Make a right decision at the right time and all that. Yeah.
So in order to be a good person who responded in properly in every situation, so you have to be, of course, good in skill, good in tactic, good in strategy, good in experiences, good in knowledge. So the most important thing is we need to respond every situation properly.
Right.
So every action or every police actions, every police exercise, every police duties will impact to the human right, will impact to the public's response, will impact. So we have to
Very
measure
careful,
it carefully for every step what we do. Okay.
Right.
Getting serious, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, I want to talk about the role of the International Mission Bureau. Yeah. The 1945 Constitution of Indonesia mandates our country to actively participate in implementing world order based on freedom, eternal peace, and social justice. So in relations to that, I'd like to know a little bit more about the duties or programs of the International Mission Bureau in providing humanitarian assistance and protection globally. Maybe you can share with us some of the previous missions or future plans, and also like the number of police that have been deployed, and perhaps the response from the international community towards Indonesia's contribution.
Yeah, okay. What the police do in terms of the international cooperation, especially the international mission, whether it is humanitarian mission or peacekeeping mission under the umbrella of United Nations, is following what the international policy of the Indonesian government. So police cannot do it, even army, military, we cannot decide it without the control of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the military of Foreign Affairs, of course, report to the president.
Right.
So as you already mentioned, that we have the basic national act says that we have to maintain the international peace and security, of course, and it is then described into our national law as well as the police law. Says that Indonesia National Police also contribute in terms of international mission, whether it is under the umbrella of United Nations or other international organization. So with this regard, and then Indonesian National Police, by the decision of the Kapolri, has its strategic plan to enhance, especially maintain and enhance the contribution of Indonesian police to be a peacekeeper, as well as other humanitarian missions.
Right.
So we have been contributing for the international peace mission since 1989. Long time ago, but most people know only military who contribute the peacekeeping. We have been contributing for 3,500, but of course the number of police who contribute 3,000 and more.
Oh, okay.
Peacekeepers.
Okay. So far, yeah.
So far, since 1989.
Okay.
But of course, the number of police peacekeepers cannot be compared with the military, because the composition of military with the military police is different.
In Indonesia, yeah.
No, in every country.
Right.
Okay. For instance, one military battalion composite consists of 1,800. But the most of one unit of Indonesian formed police unit, we call it formed police unit, consists only 140, and most of the police work individually. So a part of the unit FPU, we also have what we call as individual police officers, who works individually, and they are blended with the other police officers from all over the world working for the peace issues.
Right.
And the contributions of the police for peacekeeping first was only individual at that time, yeah, until United Nations were interested with the Indonesia, offering Indonesia whether wanted to contribute more police with the peacekeeping of what we call as foreign police units.
Right.
So foreign police unit is a unit which consists of persons as well as the equipment. Whether the major equipment, whether the self-sustainment equipment, the personal equipment, including the compound, the accommodations and everything is provided by Indonesia. This is a very complicated mission.
Right.
Since then, we, INP, manage the international relation division more, intensively on managing the peacekeeping issues. But a part of the peacekeeping issue under the United Nations umbrella, we also managing the humanitarian missions.
Right.
But of course, under the coordination or the supervision of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Correct.
So this must be known by the public. The police cannot do the international cooperation
individually,
without the political
without the government support.
Supports.
Yeah.
United Nations, for instance, has a mission in Macedonia, but since Indonesia do not have do not have relationships due to the political policy. The Indonesians only acknowledged Serbia as the country.
Right.
So we cannot send peacekeepers to Macedonia, in mission in Macedonia. But the other country, we provide missions. So it's clear that in terms of peacekeeping missions, we only follow what the government's policy, the national government policy. But in terms of the transnational crime, we are able to interact with other organizations, whatever the organization is, as well as the purpose, the aim of the organization is to eradicate or to handle or to protect Indonesia from the spread of the crimes, the transnational crime. And so the issue of international relation divisions, not only talking about the peacekeeping mission or peace mission or capacity building only, but also talking about transnational crime, how to handle and eradicate the transnational crime. Since we know nowadays the quality of the crime is being
evolved.
Yes, you know that. In my office, I also manage the capacity building relationships, where we send at least thousands of police going abroad to overseas,
such as
to join, to participate with the courses, trainings, education, academic education, university, for master degree, for bachelor degree, or PhD degree, and some small courses.
Right.
We exchange informations, we exchange capacity, we exchange the experiences, best practices in terms of how to handle the crimes, and then when they go back to Indonesia, they transfer it to their staff, they transfer it to their subordinate, and to make police better in handling. So, if you know now how police can, cover up some cases easily, because of course we are talking about technology right now. How we are talking about scientific investigation, where the information, where the knowledge mostly come from the international relations. So international relation in terms of policing now is very important, especially in improving and enhancing the capability of institution to be more better police.
Right. How many police officers or Indonesian police that have been deployed for the peacekeeping
As I told
operations?
you, at least per year we
per
send at least 200
200
per year.
per year.
Yeah,
And once a year,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
You know why the number of police become increasing? Because the root causes of the conflict and at every country now is different compared to the past days conflicts. You know, past day conflict what we call as inter country. Now the conflict is between parties in the country.
Right.
So it's after the contest, it's breaking the laws, breaking the police institution, and then they have to be, and then United Nations decided to to establish the political issues, establish the social, culture, security, and everything. They need police more rather than military. But in some missions, they don't have police, like in UNSMIL, Lebanon. The conflict between Lebanon and Israel, they don't need police. But most of the conflicts nowadays causes by the parties among in the country, among parties in the country. I mean, like in Mali, Yemen, Central African Republic, Congo, Sudan, and other countries. So they need more police compared to the previous years.
Right. Okay. You mentioned earlier that the National Police also sent out the police personnel to take courses overseas in order to increase the capacity building of our National Police.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually I wanna ask a little bit more on that and what has been done and will be done in preparing our Indonesian police personnel to become highly qualified police officers.
Yeah, first money, budget, because there is no activity in a government institution without budget. Of course, thanks God, we really appreciate the government that the international issues become one of the priority.
Right.
And we got budgets for, maintaining the peacekeepers who are sent abroad, and also there is a mandatory requirement comes from United Nations says that we have to prepare our peacekeepers who are going to be appointed abroad. So there are some modules coming from United Nations that need to be followed by us. So the training must be in accordance to what they says. What is issued by the United Nations, of course.
Right.
So the length of time for preparing them at least 7 months. You can imagine, like
here in Indonesia.
In Indonesia.
Okay.
First, since we know that most of the conflict right now is occurred in Francophone country, or Francophone countries. Of course, we have to prepare them with the French language.
Right.
Okay, at least spend 3 months for learning, providing them with the capability in speaking French, at least the daily conversation, whatever.
Right.
Je vous signale que la patrouille avec FSI a marqué un arrêt au niveau de Tirimbu pour 30 minutes. Serez-vous parler?
Yeah. Then we have also need to train them in accordance to the United Nations modules, like some basic skills, some technical skills, code of conduct, do and done. Some if it is a foreign police unit, of course, they have to pass the assessment of capability including we have to prepare them with the support system, you know, because in the mission they are equipped with the major equipment like APCs. You know, APCs are more car,
Right, armor.
trucks, utilities, and everything, which is supposed to be managed, maintained by us. And of course, those officers who handle that kind of equipment, they have to go to the workshop to get training, to get trained. And UN also require us to provide the unit with the SWAT team. Of course, they have to go for the SWAT training for 2 months in Semarang.
Right.
Even for the what you call meals and beverage, because we have our own kitchen, and so of course we have to train them for how to cook, the chef. So many training, not only tactical training, also on how to protect ourselves, how to protect the security, but also how to protect us, how to conduct the welfare, of course. Logistical issues also a problem.
Right.
After 7-month training, and then they are deserve to be integrated with the blue berets, and then after that they can be deployed. So long training, but this is only a first steps. After that, when they are deployed on the mission, and then they get something from the missions. They start, interact with the international communities, of course. Not only the military, not only the police at the missions, but also they interact with the locals, with the civilians who work for United Nations, who work for the United Nations, with a lot of country team organizations, like UNHCR, like World Food, WHO, WWF, with many organizations, and they learn something, and they, eventually improve their capability. Their mindset becomes switching, whether they realize or not. When they back home, the most important thing, they become somebody who uphold the universal of policing. And they spread these values to the other police.
Sir, out of 200 police personnel
per year.
Yes, per
for
year.
The peacekeeping missions.
For the peacekeeping mission, how many female police?
So
in percentage, perhaps.
It's required by United Nations at least 30%. For those 200, 30% we can fulfill it.
I see.
Because for the individual, most of the individual police officers who are deployed to the mission are police women.
Okay.
And this is very interesting story. When I first initiate the deployment of police women on the mission, it was a big rejection coming from many officers, especially from high-level officers. They say that, this is a very dangerous mission. This is not proper for a woman. And I say, how come you say that? I was only lieutenant colonel. I was only colonel at the time. And the general said like that. But I insist to deploy more police, more women on the peacekeeping mission, and I would like to, introduce to them, to give them more mindset that don't tell about gender issues in this regard. Women and men are the same when you go to the mission. When I was in the mission, when I was in New York, I was posted in New York as the head of planning and a police division in New York. I was my police advisor, the head of United Nations Police, was a woman, and I didn't feel anything at that time. It was 2008, 2009. I was lieutenant colonel, but I struggled for that until one day the chief of INP, Pak Tito Karnavian, when I promoted about this, he was very welcome. And starting from that, 2018, women become more in the peacekeeping and some other areas of policing.
Right.
Yeah. Then now, after that, Kapolri, the chief of NP, until Pak Sigit with the precious policies, becomes supports.
That's good.
And then the role of women in policing, not only in peacekeeping mission but also in Indonesia.
Right.
And I initiate the annual conferences of police women. What we call is IWP, International Association Women Police Annual Meeting in Labuan Bajo,
Right.
which was the plan was what you call the bidding for getting to be the host. We competed at that time with Chicago. We won, and the big conference in Indonesia. Now this year is in Alaska. So this.
Right.
So the role of women in policing, I believe, not starting from our missions, but I believe we initiative of empowering women, enhancing the number of women in peacekeeping mission, give a contribution to the role of women in policing, I think.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's common, very common now, that previously it's not common. We are going to be led by women. What happened if the women? No, it's
Right.
no problem, please.
Right.
If our boss is a woman, general. No, there is no more issues.
Right.
Yeah, it's good in the policing, of course, in police.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Okay, General, the National Police is not only participating in international peace and security, but also the National Police working closely with other relevant authorities in Indonesia to carry out humanitarian assistance and fight against transnational crime, human trafficking, fraud or skimming. Now, could you share with us some what has been done by the police previously, including the evacuation of Indonesian citizens from conflict zones or human trafficking, rescuing Indonesian nationals from human trafficking victims?
Yeah. Remember when we first, at the first era of 98, at that time, era of the separation of police from the military. Since then, it was coming a lot of offering from the international counterparts,
Right.
to enhance the capability of Indonesian National Police. So we sent many police officers, including me. I was lucky at that time because when
it seems that you're always lucky.
Yeah, life is only blessed and lucky. Okay. I initiate the programs of training and how I was captain. I was the personal assistant of head of Jakarta regional police at that time.
Right.
He called me. He said, "Krishna, you were in Bosnia, were you?" "Yes, sir." "So you know how to contact the international organization to enhance the capability of our Polda Metro Jaya at that time."
Jakarta Police.
I remember, sir, when I was in Bosnia, I work hand in hand with the international organization for enhancing the capability of transitional police force of Serbia and Croatia at that time. And I can contact them. And then I contact them. And they come from America directly.
Right.
So then we then made a plan of how to enhance the capability of Indonesia, Polda Metro Jaya in handling the riot at that time, year of 2000, lot of riots, 3,000 mass demonstration per year. So per day we face like 8 to 10 mass demonstration.
Right.
But
in Jakarta alone.
In Jakarta
alone, yeah,
alone.
Not including other provinces, yeah.
At that time I was in Polda Metro Jaya.
Right.
And I managed with the boss, with the couple there, then managed to get a training how to handle this demonstration in a proper way. And we sent many officers to America at that time, to Europe, to many countries. And when they came back to Jakarta, we start conducting the training for our staff, our sergeant, our officers to handle the riot properly. And starting from that, like Pak Kapolda, issue a policy says that demonstration is a tourist destination. You remember that? If you remember that, like demonstrasi is a wisata.
Right.
So demonstration at the time the national law was issued about the demonstration. The law of public opinions or something like that. So more softer in handling the demonstration. And then again, we send more people abroad for getting the how to manage the incident crisis management, terrorism and everything. And you remember when the Bali bombing occurred, most of the investigators at that time was coming from Jakarta. We flew from Jakarta to Bali. Yeah, most of the investigators from Jakarta, and then they assisted at that time the local police, some international police agencies, to to solve that problems, and finally we can eradicate the terrorists and capturing, arrested all the perpetrators at that time. And after that, the training was become the number of international capacity building cooperation becomes increasing. Not only Jakarta personnel, and spread it to all the places in Indonesia. So what I would like to say in this regard, that the international cooperation is very powerful in enhancing the capability of police in doing the policing, in conducting the policing, and switching the mindset, switching the skill up, enhancing the skills, tactic, especially in conducting the management, incident crisis management, everything. And when the police become better and better, and of course, Indonesia become safer and safer.
Correct.
So that's the core of the international cooperation. So, but part of the capacity building, we also have what we call P2P cooperation, police to police cooperation between agencies Indonesia and IFP, Australian Federal Police, or with SPF, Singapore Police Force, with Diraja Malaysia Police, because we also have the international regulation like what you call repatriation.
Repatriation?
No. Those the criminals who are
extradition.
We don't have extraditions cooperation with Singapore, for instance. But the police, with police, we have some, under table sometimes cooperations with the Raja, and eradicating like drugs, trafficking, human trafficking, drug smuggling, and so this really important. In terms of multilateral, I was talking about. But
that's under Interpol cooperation, perhaps.
No, P2P is different.
I see.
For the multilateral, under the Interpol cooperation, we have like notices that can share the fugitive among the countries who are the member of Interpol. So the transnational cooperation needs the international cooperation. So it's impossible right now when we live in this kind of era, and we ignore the international cooperation.
Okay, sir. I understand that you just got back from New York, from the United Nations headquarters. So perhaps you have some important issues or results that you would like to share. That's regarding the UN COPS 2022,
Yeah. Meeting with United Nations, like for us who manage the peacekeeping missions, is like meeting with the local counterparts. So we can even, conducting the Zoom meeting every day, or they come to Indonesia, we go to New York or to other countries. Yeah. So like when I worked there, I was like coordinating some missions. I travel a lot, and along my career, I have been visiting for 50 countries, for the international cooperation.
Right.
United Nations Chief of Police Summit meeting is an instrument where the head of police at every countries are gathering. They gather and express their idea, share their thought, and will be noted by the secretariat of those who work at UNPOL, and then in technical level will be discussed by me, especially in New York, like in at the end of January or February. I'll be flying again to New York for discussing about the technical issues of that. So at this summit meeting, the INP, which was represented by Kadif Bintang, Inspector General Joni Asadama, actually it was supposed to be attended directly by Pak Kapolri, but due to some local issues where he could not able to attend.
Right.
We were talking and discussing about the action for peacekeeping. How to first get our peacekeepers to be safe in the missions. That's the most important thing. So we share our thought to keep to manage the safety of the peacekeeper, because every year we are facing kind of problems where some peacekeepers, whether it is military or civilian or even the police, who become victims, who get killed on the missions. Like some months ago, some peacekeepers from Rwanda were killed in the missions. So how to protect them? Not only the ability of peacekeeper to protect the locals, the police, or the UN staff, but to protect ourselves.
Right.
So we share our thought on enhancing the capability to do that. Second things, we were talking about improving the quality of the peacekeepers. But talking about peacekeeping is very complicated. We are talking about big money, sponsored, funded by some countries. So those countries who pay for the contribution, for the reimbursement, for the allowances, for the ransom, for everything,
right,
they demand more. They say, I gave you more money, but the progress of the mission is very slow. So I need you to improve the capability. I mean, to get the mission to be effective and efficient. So then, since the year of 2000, the police contributing country are, forced to improve the capability of the personnel. So that's why then, like when I was in New York, we, developed some modules, trainings, guidance, strategic guidance framework to be referred by the PCC. So you follow that guidance to be like this, to be there. Otherwise, we are not going to deploy you. So like what Indonesians FPU deploy in Central African Republic right now, we replace Jordanians FPU who are not perform the peacekeeping properly. Because every 3 months we are, check and recheck assessed
Right.
by the system, by the team, to observe, measures the capability of our peacekeepers. So that's one of the share idea coming from better PCC, donor country, everything. We discuss about that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, we were talking about the increasing number of women contribution
Right.
for the peacekeeping, because this is very important, where some of the countries do not aware about this.
Okay, General. You're good. Is there anything that you would like to add? Maybe you have your hope and expectation, yeah?
Yeah, for me, a better policing can make a better life, better environment for the better Indonesia. That's so building a public trust is very difficult, but we believe that we can do our best effort for getting the public trust back to us.
All right. Brigadier General Krishna Murti, thank you for this interview. It is my honor to interview you during your busy schedule. And thank you for the valuable insights. And thanks to members of the National Police for their contribution to enhancing the peace and security globally, and for bringing Indonesia to the world.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.